It's been a challenging week, but I think that's what makes this episode matter and this platform matter a lot.
Y'all just think too much. And I'm like, y'all just didn't think at all. So, they were the gen who did not think at all. Which god put a deadline saying that, at 30, a woman must be married?
Hi everyone, welcome back to Listen Up with Simran and Isha, where we dive into real conversations about life, personal growth, and everything in between. Today, we have an exciting episode lined up for you, so turn up the volume and listen up. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Listen Up with Simran and Isha. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this time, shooting this episode has been a bit challenging for both of us. Both Simran and I felt the brunt of it. It's been a challenging week, but I think that's what makes this episode matter and this platform matter a lot, because we are here to have and not shying away from having the tough conversations. And today we are discussing about how in life also we have to sometimes make the tough choices, the hard decisions, which are messy, uncomfortable, koi support nahi karta, but still you have to do it because your gut is telling you to do it. And how do we manage all of that?
I think it is definitely like something a lot of people ask me all the time, and I ask myself a lot of time, that how do you make the right decision, and how do you know which decision is the right decision, and how do you actually take that step towards making that decision? And I feel like this is something a lot of, especially in our 20s and 30s, we have so many choices to make which will define the rest of our lives. We choose our careers at this age group, we choose our friendships which will last us, we choose what kind of university, jobs, our partner, the person we want to marry, who we're going to spend the less 20 years, 30 years of our life,
Next
30, 40 years of our lives with.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. So I feel like there's so much of back and forth sometimes, where you also don't know if because we are the generation of overthinkers, I feel, and we love to think and get into our own head and ruin our own head sometimes by thinking a lot. And my mom always says this to me, that y'all just think too much. And I'm like, y'all just didn't think at all. So they were the gen who did not think at all. They were just like, शादी करनी कर लो, ठीक है, लड़का अच्छा है, मॉम ने बोल दिया कर दो, ओके ठीक है, ये जॉब, उस फ्रेंड ने बोला ये जॉब अच्छी है, अच्छा ठीक है ये जॉब कर लो. Like they were the generation who did not have that much self-awareness. And we are the generation who has a lot of self-awareness. So both in extremes, I don't think is the best combination. It's the balance of that.
It never is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the balance of that. Exactly. Like you have to balance, you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And it could be different from everybody, जो लोग सोच रहे हैं, it could be different from everybody around you, but if it works for you, it works for you. It's as simple as that. Maybe you're doing something different. Maybe you want to, let's say you're choosing colleges and all your friends are going to one particular university and you decide to pursue something else.
Yeah.
But then you tell yourself, maybe I'm making the wrong decision. Then you start wondering, pata nahi kya hoga? Maybe, I am not self-aware enough. But I think you have to understand somewhere that, your voice, your opinion and your choice matters. And I think it's a skill also, like while we are in this age of making decisions, if you keep making decisions for yourself and trusting that they will work, or you'll pivot, even if you have to pivot it eventually, you'll finally get your way to it, you'll build the skill over time of taking decisions. क्योंकि वो भी एक skill है, मुझे लगता है वो सबको starting में नहीं आता है. I really didn't know. एक time पे जब मुझे कई बार बोला जाता था outrightly to make a decision, I used to take a step back. Okay, how do I decide? Mama papa की तरफ चली जाती थी, Like I had that fear in me initially. But now when I've done that over the last decade, I think I'm more stronger. And I'm more able to, voice my opinions. वो भी एक चीज़ है जो मैंने अपने अंदर notice किया कि over time ये skill मेरे अंदर develop हुई है, and it only comes by action. You keep doing it again and again. You keep making those choices, tough ones, and then if they don't work, God forbid, अगर ऐसा हो भी जाता है, they don't work in your favor, you still believe that you will be okay. It's as simple as that. क्योंकि हर चीज everything is figure outable at the end of the day. कुछ भी आपके सामने हो, it is figure outable.
I like that word, figure outable. I love that. And I think when we are in crisis, we forget that everything is figured out. We are always like, oh shit, we are this is done. This is not working. Life is over, and I don't know what the next thing to do. But I think like 6 months later, 1 year later, you look back and you're like, theek hai, I knew what, like, this had to happen the way it happened for things to happen the way they had to happen, but you, in that minute, you will not be able to see it, And I feel like
Yeah,
also
you.
as you start taking decisions, you also become more accepting of the fact that you have to live with the consequences of your decision.
Of
So
it.
you become more braver and courageous, because initially you don't want to make a decision because you don't want to live with the consequence of it. But then you realize that if you the only way to actually go through life is to make decisions, take that right turn, left turn, go straight, and then if you hit a roadblock, take another turn. And life is full of those choices
Yeah.
that you have to make. And I feel like we were
Oh, I
discussing.
love this quote. I just got a quote while you were saying this. It's not the end of the road, it's the bend of the road.
Ooh, love
You're
it.
just turning. I love that. Yeah, like I heard it sometimes. Somebody actually told me while I was making a career choice, I went to this person for advice, and this is the advice he gave me. And I felt so happy with whatever decision I was making.
I think somebody out there needs to hear that, but I needed to hear that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
There's also this idea that, we tend to get stuck in. This is normal. This is acceptable. This is what society expects us to do. But what actually is normal? If something is not, feeling right to you, but is the norm around you, is that actually the normal? Or is it something that society has, conditioned your brain for the last 5-7 years कि यही करना होता है? Marriage is one of those big things.
I love what you're saying right now. Like, I have the biggest smile on my face because I feel like I connect absolutely to everything you're saying, because we are so conditioned, even if we don't want to be like the people who fit in. Even if you and I today are having this conversation, we're like, you know what, we're going to live our lives the way we want. Somewhere there is that
Yes.
10% kida in your head. I call it the kida, the worm, which will tell you that, hey, you're not doing it how you're supposed to do it. And they all have done it like that. So there's something wrong with you. And then you start questioning your actions because you then start
Yes.
feeling like everyone else is doing it a certain way. I'll give you my example because why should I be shy? I have a friend, like I have three best friends. I'm a very tight inner circle. And my first best friend got married within 3 months of meeting the guy. It was arranged marriage. 3 months they decided to get married. They're having a good life, and I'm very happy for her. My second best friend just met a guy as well, again through arranged marriage, and they're gonna get the engagement done, then they're gonna do their marriage, and it's like all planned, like 4 months and then 6 months and then 8 months, that kind of a thing. Now I have met my partner through not arranged systems. I've met him in a love marriage situation, let's call it that. And
Yeah.
we both are committed to each other, we love each other, but we both feel the need of space to take decisions slowly. We are in no rush to get married. We are in no rush to, not because we don't want to get married, but because we don't feel the need to rush into it right now. But because everyone around me has done it, my friends have done it, my family knows all my friends have done it. So everyone is always every day on my head that if you're sure about each other, why don't you just do it? And I'm like, why can't I take my time? Like, both arguments are fine, right? Like, there's no right way or wrong way to do it. And then I'm reminded by the fact that I'm turning 30 next year, and this year, sorry. And I'm just like, which God put a deadline saying that, at 30, a woman must be married? Like, there's no deadline like that. But you start getting suffocated by everybody else's opinion of what you should or shouldn't do.
Doing something different is not actually wrong.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
You just want to make a different choice. You've learned to listen to that voice which everybody else has silenced.
Yes.
So why are you in the wrong?
Exactly.
Because people are not listening to it and people are doing things a certain way. It works from them, great. What works for you works for you. What works for them works for them. Simple as that. इसमें कुछ सही गलत मुझे ये नहीं समझ में आता. Why every time I have to make a decision? Why every time I have to think? Or my brain goes into this thinking capacity कि यार 10 people around me उनका क्या opinion होगा इसके ऊपर? Why can't I just be so liberated myself as a human being? Because मैं भी इस चीज से अलग नहीं हूँ ना. I live in this society. I'm surrounded by people. Obviously, I want to take advice. Obviously, I care about the people I love. But then, why is my decision, if it's different? Okay, I'll tell you about this. When I had to leave my job, I actually had to fight with everybody around me, including my family, close-knit family members, that, this is not the right call.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, in that moment, considering everything around me, it felt like the right call to me. And I took that call. And trust me, 3 years down the line, because I felt right in that moment, Simran, aaj tak I've never come to regret it.
Wow.
So that says something.
I love it.
That does say something.
I love it. And I'm so happy that that happened for you. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for me. I was at a point when I was in Milan. I was having a great job, working in fashion. Everything was perfect. But I was highly depressed because I was alone. There was a lot of loneliness, and I just wanted to come back home. And at that point, I got another job offer in Bombay. I had my boyfriend in Bombay. So I thought, you know what, maybe this is a sign. The universe got me this job. Maybe I should leave my life behind in Milan and come to Bombay. And maybe that is the right thing to do. And at that point, my intuition told me I should do it. My mom, dad, my family, everyone around me told me don't do it because it's a bad thing and you're gonna regret this decision. But I was like, you know what, I want to do it because I feel aligned to it. I came here 3 months within. I come here in November, and then I start my job in December. By Feb, I quit that job. I absolutely hated it. It was completely toxic for me. I also ended up finishing my relationship because it was also toxic for me. And I was just like, oh my God, like, this is March. I am stuck in this thing. Now, what do I do? I have lost the relationship, I've lost my job, and now I don't know what to do. And we got hit by the pandemic. And in that minute, I was like, I am such an idiot that I made this decision. But today, 3 years later or 4 years later that I'm sitting here, I know it was the right thing to do. I know now what I've built, where I've come. I'm in a happy relationship again. I am in a point in my life I have my own business. Moral of the story being, like, today what I knew, if I know this, like right now where I'm at, I'm so happy that I made that decision. But at that point when I was stuck in that pandemic, I felt like I had made the worst decision of my life. So sometimes you're going to make decisions and they're not going to work out the way you want them to work out. But that does not mean that it was not a decision which was,
Meant to be.
bad for you.
Yeah.
It was happen. Yeah, it was meant to be. And if it were, that's your story, that's your journey. Universe wrote it for you like that. And you had to learn that lesson. Not all choices you make will be good choices. And you have to learn to deal with that. And
You
learn
have to
from
learn
them.
to own your
and make
truth
better
somehow.
choices.
Yes.
Own your truth, make mistakes, and make better choices. And that's how you learn to make choice in life.
Exactly.
So today, if somebody asks me, like, how do you know which is the right decision for you, and or how do you take a decision? For me, it's the first thing, like we discussed before this call, intuition. If you don't listen to that inner voice, if you have no way of listening to your inner voice, I believe in intuition. I
believe
think
in
it
following
works.
my
What do you
gut so much. Like, every time when I feel myself slacking in some time, or sometimes when I feel that this is not working out for me, but I still know always to follow my gut. And I'm not saying like you कि मेरे को insecurities नहीं होती, या sometimes I don't double question it or cross question it or start wondering maybe I am too much in my head, because that also comes in your mind कि मैं ज़्यादा सोच रही हूँ, maybe this is not the right thing, I'm not that well aware, the people around me are saying something, it might be for a reason, it does come to you. But with experience of 28 years, I can say this with 100% certainty that following your gut never goes wrong, because sometimes it's a lesson, but always it's a good experience. Always.
Yes.
It's a good experience. It's a learning experience. If it doesn't work out for you, it's still learning and it's still growth.
I love what you're saying because it's really true. Like, learn to trust and listen to your intuition. You're not always going to know if you're going to make the right. You can't control your decision making process. You can do all the overthinking and analysis and look at everything from 20. And I'm saying you should do that. Do your research. Don't be an idiot. Don't just always just do whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
Do all that. Do your research. Ask yourself 20 times if this is what you want or you don't want. But then after a point, you have to learn to listen to that, like, voice, that inner voice. I'm not talking about the critic, but that inner voice, which is really silent and only sometimes comes out in your gut somewhere and tells you, like, okay, this is right. Or
your
like,
body tells you.
I feel like
Sometimes
women especially
Yes.
have like a very strong sense of self. We can be in a place like a cafe or roads or something or anywhere, and we could get this feeling that something is off. It works somewhere here.
You were also mentioning about the inner critic, and I think that critic comes out of fear sometimes. So a while back, I went on this meditation retreat for 3 days, and it was such a good experience. And one of the lessons that I learned in that retreat was about fear and faith. And what they taught us was actually this. And it's very, it was very powerful when I actually heard it. He said that fear and faith, both of them demand something of you which you cannot see. They demand of you to believe in something that you cannot see. So at the end of the day, you have to choose. When it's a decision, if you make it out of fear, you will know it. If you make it out of faith, you will know it. So I felt that it was very powerful. That every time if I am, at a point where, at a juncture where I have to make a decision, कि यार यहाँ पर अब दो रास्ते जा रहे हैं, कहाँ जाऊँ? Why not choose the faith वाला रास्ता than the fear वाला? Why not? Why not just take that step? So that was, जब मैंने वो first time भी सुना था, I was so like, and in that moment I had just done some meditation and it was very powerful to me, like it hit me.
And ultimately, it is your life.
Yeah.
You know what is right for you.
Yeah.
Yes, you can talk to your friends, family, blah, 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 but you know in your gut what you want to do. And you're always going to be, there will always be a point in your life where you'll be like, shit, maybe I should have done that and not this.
Of course.
But if you get stuck in that cycle, you have to understand that you didn't do that because you were meant to do this. And that is what your life was written for. And if you still really, really want to do that, find a way to do that. If you really want to do it. So understand that, like, even if you make a decision and you listen to your intuition, I listen to my intuition, I wanted to do it. There's a point, it may be that the decision doesn't work for you. It's fine. Like you said, it's not the end of the road, it's a bend. You can always take a different decision. You can always pivot. If you take up arts and you're like, I want to be a psychologist, and you start studying, and then 1 year through the course, you're like, you know what, this is not working for me. Be honest with yourself first. Stop being like, oh, okay, I just took it now. My mom, dad will be angry at me if I try to change. Just let it be, And that's how you're ruining your life, because your gut has told you now you need to change. But you're not doing it because you're scared of what the society will say, what the world will say. I remember when I got my marks, I wanted to do commerce. And I like business. I love marketing and management. And I was a really top, student. So all my teachers were like, why are you not taking science? I said, because I don't want to take science. I don't connect to any part of science. I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
And then for them, it was a disappointment that I was such a bright child who was not choosing something like that. Because the world tells you that that's what you should do. On top of that, I was pursuing dance, which is like literally even a step below because you've gone into arts now. So I think it's really important sometimes to just listen to what your soul tells you, what your intuition tells you. Not every time everybody knows what's right for you. They will try and guide you, they will advise you, but only you know what is right
what's
for you.
right for you.
That's
I think some days you have to remember that believing in yourself is just enough. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need extra validation or support sometimes. I get it. It's hard to make that decision. जब कोई support नहीं कर रहा होता, it's very hard. But in that time period, I think you should remember कि I know you cannot see the rest of the journey, but if you can just see the next step, you take it. If you can just see the next step, you take it. Don't look for the entire staircase. Look at the next step. Eventually, when you have few steps under your belt, when you've done some things, people will come and support you. That's how it works most of the times. So
Love that.
Yeah, this is
It's
what
exactly
my
that.
journey.
It's exactly that. Yeah.
I think this episode has been so cathartic for me, just to talk and just say, because this has been very cathartic for both of us actually. And I think this reaches to someone who really needs it, who really needs to understand and is somewhere busy, confused on a crossroad, and this can help make that person that choice.
Yeah, if you hearing this today, I think, I love what you said in the last part of this episode, that if you don't know what to do or how to get out or how to make the next, big decision, all you need to do is close your eyes and ask yourself, what is the next step I need to take? And what's the next step I need to take? And what's the next step? Instead of trying to do, Rome wasn't built in a day, you have to take baby steps to where you're going. That is what increases your belief in where you're going, and others' belief in also where you're going.
Yeah, in you. True, definitely. I think that does that.
Very true, yeah. Amazing. I think we've had a lovely episode today, and we're looking forward to hearing from you guys as well. If there's any other topics, anything you'd like us to discuss in the coming months, please do drop it in the comments on our YouTube section or on Instagram, and we will get back to you on that. And till then, keep listening. I hope you have a great week.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. Keep listening.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Listen Up with Simran and Isha. Hope you enjoyed the conversation and make sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay tuned and listen up.